Hey, gang, welcome back to another Glendomonium podcast. Here, this is your host, Glenn, and this is part four of my Arizona discussion. Are you still considering moving here? Past few videos, I've talked about jobs, I've talked about housing, and I talked about what to expect in general when you come to Arizona because I want to recap Arizona. It's mostly a hot state, especially in the summer. If you live in Phoenix, if you live in Tucson, Bullhead City, Lake Havasu, expect triple digit weather, almost half the year round. Kingman, Flagstaff, if you want average seasons, it can be extreme. Like here in Kingman, you can get snow. Flagstaff, you definitely get snow because it's higher elevation. Sedona is about the same way. As for jobs, I just want to also reiterate that it really depends on your profession, but if you want to have a better chance of getting the career that you want, if you're specialized in like technology, engineering, just go to Phoenix. Just go with Phoenix. You might get some engineering jobs somewhere out of Phoenix, but I'd say Phoenix first and foremost because it's a capital city. That's where the majority of the good paying jobs are. And if you're maybe nursing, you're good pretty much anywhere you go. I would also want to suggest if nursing, if you do end up in a small town, it's a good way to get experience, and in maybe a couple years you can branch off from there. I always suggest nursing is always paramount in Arizona. Housing, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to almost buy a house than it is to rent. Because I've seen two bedrooms. They're like apartments. 2 bedroom apartments are going up even in the smaller cities. I've actually did a little look on a few websites here. They're definitely going up in price, but it's almost cheaper to buy a house regardless. Um, our housing market's actually pretty good, but just don't fall for a lot of tricks because a lot of landlords will try to sweep some stuff under the rug. Be very thorough when you inspect the place that you're going to live in. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about culture. Now, why are you talking about culture in an Arizona video? Well, allow me to explain. Arizona is actually very diverse. Now, I know some people might say Arizona's diverse. Look, a few years ago, if someone told me that Arizona was diverse, I probably would have laughed in your face. But that's not the case anymore. I've lived in Phoenix for a while. I actually go there every now and then, and I can say with utmost certainty that Phoenix has definitely changed over the years. I mean, yeah, it's mostly a red state, but if you look at this results from this last election, we almost went blue. That surprised the crap out of me. We almost went blue. I mean, heck, Utah almost went. I think Utah almost went blue. I think they did go blue, but it wasn't that much. But Arizona, I don't know, there was like a flip, but the majority of the votes come into Phoenix and Tucson because those are the bigger, and then like I said, the bigger cities usually are more diverse, more liberal, whereas smaller cities, they tend to swing conservative, especially small towns with no growth. They tend to swing conservative. Um, Now, what I mean by culture is what do you want? Like, what do you expect? What kind of person are you? Like, it really depends if your political view, political views, your type of music, your type of lifestyle. Um, I mean, I don't want to just split it from liberal and conservative. That would be just too black and white. Because I know like some people they have middle of the ground views. Maybe if you're swinging more conservative, you might want to seek out a smaller town. If you're like crazy conservative, I mean, I wouldn't say I don't know. Crazy conservative doesn't sound right, but like it really depends on your views. A lot of more conservative types tend to flock towards smaller cities, especially the business owners. Like smaller cities because with smaller cities, there's no growth. There's no there's not no growth, but there's stagnant growth. So if you're a business owner in a small town, you can almost get away with upping your profits or taking home a chunk of change and not having to pay your employees a whole lot of money. But I hate saying that because it's wrong. I think it's morally wrong, but this is a business. It's a business. I get it. Um, or also with a conservative mindset is you probably think more religious. You're probably more religious. You're probably more family orientated. family orientated. You gravitate probably towards smaller towns. But at the same time, you're almost doing your disservice to children because with smaller towns and smaller cities, there's not a lot for children to do. I've been a Kingman resident for a long time, and I've also studied Bullhead and Havasu residency, and I noticed that there's a shockingly low amount of stuff to do for kids and teenagers, and this is why a lot of times you get a lot of juvenile delinquents and runaways because what else there is to do. This is why teenage pregnancy is kind of a big deal. You don't be surprised, especially you guys in your teenage years. Don't be surprised if you meet someone who's 17 years old and they're already a parent, because that's how. Because in the smaller cities, there's not much to do. So what else is there to do? We got like here we got like one movie theater, and no, I mean there's not really a recreation center. Wellness center doesn't count because it charges a fee. Um, and I know it's the internet age, and there will be stuff to do on the internet, but still, sometimes you want to go outside and do an activity. I mean, some places do try to get families involved, but like I said, with a conservative mindset, everything revolves around families. So chances are, there's not a lot of places for kids and teens to go out by themselves without some kind of supervision. I mean, walk to the park. I mean, I do see a lot of younger people actually starting to walk a lot more, which is great. Because let me tell you something. When I was in high school, you couldn't like as from a guy's point of view, you couldn't get a girl to walk. You couldn't get a girl to walk with you a few blocks because they want you to have. You're 18 years old and they expect you to have a car. They don't want to walk. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to get exercise. And then this is why we have a bit of an obesity epidemic because a lot of people don't want to walk. In my generation they didn't want to walk, a lot of us gained a ton of weight because we hated exercise for some reason, but now it's different. um I gotta watch how I speak because I just moved to a new apartment and I want to not disturb my neighbors because you never know what kind of neighbors you have. Like, you don't want somebody like kind of listening and saying, is that guy talking to himself? You don't want that. Anyway, other side of the cultural issue, it's not really an issue, but a cultural topic. If you're more liberal, if you have liberal views, or you want more variety in your life, I know this is probably no brainer. Phoenix, Tucson, maybe Flagstaff. Flagstaff is great, especially in the winter if you like skiing. It's got a beautiful view, and it's got a lot of like coffee shops. I think they still have some coffee shops. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been up to Flagstaff. I should probably go up there again one day. If I ever get the chance to take a week off of work and just kind of get a good idea of what to do, explore a little bit. But from last time I've been there, there was a lot of stuff to do. There's surprisingly like a lot of little shops you can go. It's a lot easier, especially those who are into like organic foods, wants to, or vegan, and it supports a lot of that, especially because Flagstaff is a college town and college kids tend to be way more liberal. So, you cater to that crowd. Um, but I don't recommend Flagstaff as the place to settle down in because the job market there is not very good. It's not as bad as Kingman, but it could be better. But that's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, but Tucson definitely more Phoenix. Tucson is okay. I mean, you won't have any problem with Tucson. Um, there's definitely a large Hispanic population up there. It does have more diverse. I've actually seen many different. I don't want to say colors of the rainbow. Even members of LGBT. They hang around in the more bigger cities because you wouldn't want to be in a smaller city. Um, like people that just aren't very tolerant of that kind of stuff, which is a shame. But especially in smaller towns where religion tends to have a bit of a foothold. Although I'll say this about some place like King and Bullhead, like religion doesn't have that strong of a foothold like I thought it did. I remember back in the '90s and some of the early aughts, like the church like was a big deal. Like especially this mega church that we had here, it was like one of the big players in town, and now you don't really hear much about them. Well, I guess like with the millennial generation growing up, like people are finally seeing that church is an end all be all, and I know like their parents or grandparents are probably like disappointed in that, but people got to learn to think for themselves at some point. It's great to have religion. I'm not knocking it, but when a lot of people have it the end all be all, they don't want to learn anything else. They close their mind to learning new things. That's a shame. That's a shame. Religion shouldn't be the ends of the ends justify the means, rather than a philosophical. I can't say it now. A philosophy. See, I'm gonna stop there. I'm not gonna botch that up any further. But what I'm trying to get at is religion doesn't have to be end all, just a standpoint to. I just stepped on something. Standpoint. Anyway, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. Sorry, I'm looking outside my window here. I'm watching an old person just kind of wheel down the street on a wheelchair by herself, unsupervised. That's. I hope she's okay. Anyway, music. Music. If you're a little bit country, small town, once again, you know, I know a lot of people are into that whole like biker thing. A lot of old bikers come by. They definitely hang around the upper parts of Arizona. Your Kingman, your Bullhead, your Havasu. We get these yearly river runs. I think around April. And I could have sworn they do this again around October, but I could be mistaken. A lot of them they drive through Kingman because there's a lot of tourism here in Kingman for the bikers. Like they love the 50s cafe. They like going to the bars. Most of them head towards Laughlin and wreak havoc in some of the casinos, which is unfortunate. We had some incident a few years ago too, which ended pretty fatal. Um, I'm not saying don't fear bikers. There are a lot of good bikers out there, but sometimes you get those who take that street with them. Like it's like those who like used to be in a gang and then they're out of the gang. They're trying to live a civilian life, but for some stupid reason they carry that gang crap with them. And it's kind of that way with some of the bikers. You sometimes you just can't take the street out of a gangbanger. And I know I'm talking about gangbangers, but I've never been in a gang, thank God. And it's ironic because a lot of people growing up here assume because I have dark skin, he thought, yep, by the time Glenn turns 18, he's gonna be in a gang, he's gonna get a girl pregnant, and he's gonna shoot somebody up, and he'll probably rob me. And I'm like, wow, that's projection. But no. The country influence actually died down over the years. Like I don't know, it's really changed. Like I don't see a lot of people with cowboy hats unless they're like crazy old. Like like at least in the upper parts of Kingman. I don't know. Arizona had this like whole cowboy culture going on since like the 80s, 90s, and even the parts of the 2000s. And it just dropped off. Like you don't hear a lot of people play country music. Like you get people play old rock. It's more old rock than country. I mean, I like it. I don't mind old rock. It don't bother me. But like you very rarely ever hear anybody ever blare country out of their truck or their vehicle unless they're from the sticks or something. Um, but music's really diverse. I mean, you're not going to hear reggae. We used to hear a lot of hip hop too. That's another thing, especially in the northern parts of Arizona. Hip hop was actually really popular for a while, and I guess that kind of died down. You still hear people play hip hop, but it's definitely diverse. No one's gonna really give you any crap for your choice of music. I don't know anybody who ever played reggae. We do have people who are Hispanic who play Spanish music. You hear that too, and really, I like that how a lot of people in Arizona actually don't mind. I mean, yeah, you're probably to get a couple idiots who will say something, but they're idiots for a reason. Um, I personally like it. I don't mind. Ooh, bathroom's got a bit of an echo. Don't mind me. Closing the window. I'm loving this new place, by the way. My swamp cooler is actually cooling my place down. It's about 103, 104 degrees outside, and I'm not sweating. I'm walking around talking into my little recorder here, and I'm not sweating one bit. I love it out here. I love it in here. I thought I was gonna hate it. Anyway, yeah, the music culture. I don't know, is a part for some people, but I mean, if you want to do like concerts, Phoenix. I guess I'm doing 4 videos of this Arizona thing, and honestly, I should just say if you want the best of everything, just go to just go to Phoenix. Tucson's not bad, but it's like everything just happens in Phoenix because I mean it's a big city. It's a shame. It's really a shame because I always thought that some of these smaller cities in Arizona have so much potential, but a lot of their city councils they're afraid of having any growth that might jeopardize because you know what happens when an industry gets built, then everything goes up in price, and then all the citizens are forced out of their homes, and they don't want that. And I understand, but at the same time, they gripe about not having enough specialized people, aka college people, people with college education, to get these jobs. But here's the thing: you don't build. You won't let them build. And if you don't let them build, they won't get work. So instead, we just get a glut of fast food and retail and hardware stores and places where they only pay you minimum wage. It's a sucky situation to be in, and that's Arizona in a nutshell. It feels like if you don't live in a bigger city where there's actual a decent economy, you're not going to get by. But I think the same can be said for any place in the United States, or if because like I read stuff on the internet all the time, and they're saying that people, especially kids, after they graduate high school, they want to move away. There's a whole reason why they move away, not just to go to college, but there's opportunity. There's not that opportunity in a small town, and Arizona, it's no exception really. Um, let's see, what else can I do with culture? Honestly, there's so much to go over. Like if you're into cars, there's a lot of racing going on. There's always that. Excuse me one second. There's definitely a lot of racing if you're into race cars. Skiing's Flagstaff. You can do skiing there. Excuse me. Man, wind is blowing. Yeah, I apologize. There's a lot of little distractions here. I'm still getting used to the ins and out of this place. Um, let's see. I cover concerts. There's horseback riding. There's not a lot of rodeos anymore. Like I said, the country culture is actually dying down. It's almost become a relic. Like, you've heard what happened with the circus. Like, I guess circuses are not much of a thing anymore because of the whole cruelty to animals thing. I remember the fairgrounds actually. I mean, you do get we get the fairgrounds like every year, maybe a few times a year. Circus used to be a part of that, and I guess over time they stopped doing that. So all you just get are rides. Um, yeah, in Mojave County we get the fair. It always comes to Kingman though, because Kingman has the fairgrounds. Bullhead doesn't have much, but Bullhead does have the Colorado River running through it. So you're always going to get river runs in the summer. If you have a jet ski, come on down. You know, because I know there are people who are into boating. So like if you own a boat, but you want to be near body water, there's always Havasu, there's always Bullhead, Phoenix, not so much. You're not really anywhere near water. If you live in Kingman, you're probably a few miles away. Um, I wanted to suggest something else. Um, yeah, spring break is actually pretty fantastic up here. A lot of people do hit the hotter climates. Other than that, I guess this is going to be a short video. I mean, there's probably something I've missed out on because I had it written down somewhere before I moved and I lost it. There is a whole bunch of other stuff I've written down. Classic cars. If you're into classic cars, Upper Arizona, King Moon Bullhead, and I guess Laughlin. Laughlin's really Nevada. It's Nevada, and I don't really want to lump it in, but literally, if you live in Bullhead City, Nevada is literally walking distance away. Laughlin, Nevada is just walking distance because you have the whole casino strip, and that's how Bullhead City kind of grew way faster than Kingman. Because when I lived in Bullhead, I was like maybe 6 years old, and it was mostly a big lot desert with a post office, some hotels, some restaurants, really really small town. But then it just exploded because all the tourists from Laughlin, there are people that actually live in Laughlin, but they got to come to Bullhead to buy their food, buy their supplies. So that town just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. I mean, the job economy kind of sucks down there because it's like Kingman. They don't want any big industry building there, but there are more industry in Bullhead than there is in Kingman and Havasu. But it's kind of a struggling town. It's sad to see, and plus the 120-degree weather. it doesn't help things either. Um, all right. Other than that, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. I think I'm probably gonna also wrap up this whole Arizona thing because I want to do something different this next video. I'm gonna have to go find my notepad. Hopefully, I can find it and start on a new series of topics because I think I've exhausted everything I wanted to say about Arizona. Maybe I could do something about just jobs. I've been on the job hunt lately, and I think a lot of experience that I've had, I wouldn't mind sharing. And then if you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. I know I have pauses, and it does. This video doesn't feel like it's probably one of my best, but at the same time, this is something I wanted to get off my chest. So anyway, thank you for listening. Take care, guys. Like, favorite, subscribe, share it to your friends. Leave a comment down below. Let's maybe get into some conversation. Maybe if you're a fellow Arizona person and you got something to say, something to add, or something to correct, feel free to leave it on the comments. All right. Until then, guys, take care.